What's up, everyone?
Hello.
Hey, Chris is back.
He is.
Uh, let's see. Well,
He is.
good thing for Chris last week is the band never showed either. So uh,
Well, that was kind of strange how that happened.
I
So
know it was. I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll do what we can for an hour and then call it a day. I guess, but
yeah,
that's all you can do. So yeah, evidently the sickness spreads around the world. So,
yeah, it do be like that sometimes.
but we do have that rescheduled for the 28th, I think. So
Yes, yes,
So we will be able to talk to that man at some point.
yeah. That's good. We were able to reset that up.
So let's see.
Everyone's got the everyone's got the flexibility to do that, so that's nice.
And it's a good thing they're not in Europe, so it's a little bit easier to
That's true. Yeah,
navigate when their time frame's a little bit closer to ours. So
yeah, that's true too.
uh, let's see.
All true.
All right. So let me get Matt in here just a second.
Yeah, we have another returning guest for you guys today.
Got Matt from hey, good morning, Dana. Got Matt from As We Suffer. If you don't remember, we talked to those guys a couple years ago when I think the Fallen Pillars came out. We
Yep.
talked to those guys. So they are on track to for another release. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, I'm sure. So let's get Matt up in
I
here.
would like to think so. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, Matt?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's good, man. How's it been?
Good. Busy.
Yeah,
It's good
yeah.
to see you guys.
That's always a good thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for reaching out because, like, I would have. I mean, I knew you guys had the one single release back in 25 because we put it on. From following you guys, it gives us the notifications when you guys do release stuff. Uh, so I had to I had put that on one of our playlists, and then of
Yep.
course the newest single just came out recently. So this
Yeah,
year.
Embrace
So
Perdition. Yeah,
yeah,
that one came out. Yeah, fairly recently, a few months ago.
yeah.
Yeah, November.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Time flies.
I thought you had another one since
Oh, it was
then.
November.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. Yeah, the drum playthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was like a vowel refrain or something.
Vowel Refrain was the official music video that we did. We recorded. We filmed that last summer or last spring, and then
Oh,
dropped
okay.
it.
Okay, yeah, and
Uh,
then
yeah,
embrace
right
perdition.
before summer.
Okay, so they were both last year. I was thinking one of them kind of flowed into the first of the year this year. Okay, okay, cool deal. So
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, there's still new music out there. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
and, and
we have the full album recorded. It's ready to drop. Um, we're yeah, it was a bit of a labor of love because we wrote that during the pandemic, and it was a lot of anger, a lot of uh, negative emotions, a lot of, and we had a new guitarist join uh, from the metal scene who wasn't on our first record. So he wrote a bunch of the stuff that's on album two that
okay,
is very heavy, very, very
yeah.
heavy. He wrote Embrace Perdition,
Oh,
but
okay,
Okay.
some of the other ones on the album are just brutal, absolutely brutal. Very different sound. Like we had the punk infusion on album one. This is very bordering on like some death metal. Um, yeah, very intense record. So, so we'll be
Yeah,
dropping that soon.
yeah, I could definitely pick up on, some added intensity in the new singles. Yeah, it's like okay, someone is mad. So, but again,
Yep. Yep.
it you know it it sucks that you know that angry music has to exist because it would be nice if people didn't have shit to be mad about, but it does really create for some hellified good music.
Well, that's it.
Turning it,
It's the catharsis,
yeah,
right? Through music.
right,
Um, I mean, I discovered that when I was very young, getting into the heavier stuff when I was in my teens, and
right,
um, like ever since. So, what did I start out with? Sort of like Corn and Marilyn Manson and uh, Nine Inch Nails and that kind of stuff, and then it got me into the even heavier stuff, Cannibal Corpse and
for sure.
Deicide and all that. So these are my foundations. So doing a record like this really spoke to me.
Nice.
Well, I mean, you definitely have a lot of darkness to pull from, even if, like the anger aside from personal experiences. I mean, you got definitely a lot of source material to pull from,
Oh yeah.
especially, when you're talking, veterans and legends like Deicide and Cannibal
Oh
Corpse.
yeah. Oh
That's
yeah. Absolutely.
not to mention, I mean, not necessarily a fan personally, but, Nine Inch Nails and Trent Reznor. I mean, they're way the hell out there. I mean, they, of course, they were slightly before and kind of the precursor to a Marilyn Manson. So, I mean,
Oh yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah.
so
Absolutely.
definitely a trendsetter in that respect. So,
Hmm. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I was going to say I did notice a little bit of a different sound with the
hmm
first two signals than I did the Fallen Pillars record. So is that kind of attributing to the newest guitar?
Partly. So even the Fallen Pillars itself, that song, that single, was written by um, a new guitarist at the time, Derek, who he was just diving into the band at that point when he wrote that, and when we brought him on for album two, he himself like started to get heavier. Like Vile Refrain was initially written by Derek,
Oh,
and
okay.
so but you can hear, even though it's still got that melody and it has that tappy part in the breakdown, um or right before the breakdown. So his like more melodic, more uh yeah, I'll just stick with melodic, but his more melodic sound really worked with the aggressiveness, but his writing became heavier just by nature, I guess, of being around us. The writing got heavier too. And I think Rob as well, having him on for album two, um, his background, like I remember sitting with him and he's like, "So what kind of sound do you want?" I'm like, "Think like Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, think like old school death metal, but meets melodic." We have a song called Bellum Demonium on album two, and it's a furious song, and it has a sort of like that melodic death kind of stuff that some of the earlier Cannibal Corpse has at the beginning of the song, and then right into blast beat, and yeah, it's a ferocious track. But I wanted it a blend to get that metalcore sound that we've sort of always had, but pulling it more towards the aggressive, more towards the heavy, more towards that death sound that I grew up with, and still keeping the hardcore elements in it. Our bassist Ryan, my cousin, he wrote a couple of tracks on the album, and his tracks are always that sort of early Machine Head, Hate Breed, like that punch you in the face kind of shit. Like it's good stuff.
it is good stuff. Yeah. I mean,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, with the Fallen Pillars and everything, how that was. I know we talked to you guys kind of like right when that came out,
Yeah.
so I was just kind of interested in how that was received as far as
Well,
from that point. And
yeah, yeah. It was received quite well. We're still, for all intents and purposes, a local band in a lot of ways.
mhm.
So it didn't get as much traction as we would have wanted. But anybody who reviewed it, anybody who we sold the vinyl to or the CD to, seemed to love it. We got nothing but good feedback from it. There's like one review that criticized. Um, I can't even remember what it was, but it was like a minor criticism, and it was, we didn't take it to heart. It was nice to get some negative feedback at the same time, or constructive criticism.
Right. I was
Sure.
going to ask
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It was good to get that because, like, for the most part, we got like, oh yeah, it's really good, and people seem to enjoy it. So, but other than that one or maybe two reviews that weren't even bad, they were just more like, uh, the 6 or 7 out of 10 versus, creeping up closer to the 8. Um, so the 6 or 7, with just a couple of criticisms, which, I think on album 2 we've, um, sort of, wouldn't say we're at our peak with writing music, but we found our sound.
Right.
We found our lane. It's very different from album 1, but you can still
Yeah.
hear those elements, and it's an
Oh, for
11
sure.
track. Album 2 is an 11 track, just like album 1.
Hmm.
Um, and we end it in a similar way to what we did with album 1, which was have the big sort of unique song at the end. So Fallen Pillars is very unique to all the other tracks on it. And then, um, this one has a song called Beneath the Blisters as the end
Oh.
song, and it's about 8 minutes,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's
Okay.
like got a lot of different sections, a lot of different, like, a lot of different ideas, very heavy and then very melodic, um, and ends in sort of a big chant, with even some Gregorian chant in the background. So it's
Oh,
it's quite
cool.
a unique beast. Quite a
Yeah.
unique beast. But yeah, no, album 1 turned out quite well. It did well for local band
Mhm.
up here in Ontario, Canada. We
Yeah.
did pretty good. We did pretty
So
Yeah.
good.
how far out did you guys get to go with touring for that?
We didn't really tour, but we got a ton of shows.
Okay.
So we basically did a show a month, sometimes two for that whole period of time. So that was good.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
branched out a little bit from Ottawa, got out a bit, but um, yeah, we didn't really. Touring's tough with people with kids in the band, and
Ah, yeah, that's true.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's true.
understandable. Yeah.
I can
So,
relate to that for sure. So
but we are looking to do that for album 2. Once we get that out, we're just working on merch right now, getting some new T-shirts because we did an elaborate booklet for this album. We have about 1, 2, 3, like 6 or 7 pieces of art, paintings that were done for this, and they all tell different parts of the story through the lyrics in the art, and it's yeah, very elaborate. So we're taking our time getting that ready, um, and we're planning on doing vinyls, and we might do something very special with that as well. So
I
the
was
CDs
gonna
line,
ask,
yeah,
you kind of said that with having like artwork, so much different artwork. I remember we were talking to a band recently, and of course I think they were from over in Europe, but I think that's becoming a theme to where everybody's like kind of like putting artwork with singles too, and like
yeah,
saving that out for like
Hmm.
certain merch and everything. I think that's pretty cool actually because I mean you don't want to go as a fan I don't want to go and look at stuff and say oh well that's just the album cover. It's like
oh,
it's like it's like you really do want to have options. I mean I have don't get me wrong. I mean every band has to do that at some point just to have merch out there, but it's still kind of to me it's kind of like I want to see something kind of unique uh,
yes,
to
yeah,
something that kind of because that's me. It's like I may not even be like a huge fan of a band, but if some kind of artwork catches my eye, things I'm
Yep.
like, dude, that's a badass shirt.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, I gotta have that.
hundred
It's
percent,
like,
100%, yeah, yeah. No, I've always been the same. Well, I mean, going right back to what we were talking about at the beginning, Cannibal Corpse. Seeing that album, like seeing one of their CDs on the shelf, like I'm buying that.
right,
I like
Oh,
that's
yeah,
disgusting. I want
you
their
that.
their
I want
artwork's
that in my
pretty.
my
oh you
collection.
you just reminded me of something. Jason, I meant to show you this the other day. Give me a second, I'll have to find it, but it is Cannibal Corpse related. Uh
Nice.
hang on a second, because I saw something, and Jason will absolutely uh, know why I like this as soon as I can find it. Shit, hang on. It might take me a second,
Yeah, no worries.
but oh nope, there it is. Boom, right off the hop. Look at that shit. Oh, this is actually a different one. I'm sorry, but no. Apparently, Cannibal Corpse has done a collaboration with Puck Hockey, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
I
Oh, I
don't know.
saw this. Yes, yes, yes,
I
yes.
was because and they've done hockey style album covers. And
Oh, that's
let
cool.
me hold on. I got to see if I can find it because I saw one the other day, and it was basically, it was on the hockey rink, and there was like a dismembered goalie, and a dude was like beating his face. Hold on a second. I got to see if I can find it. And like I say,
It's
I meant
classic.
oh damn it. It might take me a minute, but
No.
I'm gonna find it so we can put it up there. But
Yeah.
and I was also gonna say something else until that popped into my head and
We're talking
remind.
about
Oh,
artwork.
talking about the artwork.
Yeah.
But what I like is that, and Jason can, I think he can kind of back me up on this. The cool thing is, when we were growing up, that was actually part of the experience of buying an album.
Mhm.
Whether it was, whether it was the little accordion fold out in a cassette tape, or the actual liner notes on a CD, and that stuff kind of went. Of course, with vinyls, it's always been there, but
Yes.
there was kind of a lull in vinyl sales for a little while. But one of the cool things that seems to be kind of making a comeback, and Jason referred to it, uh, and the name of the band also escapes me, but I know who he's talking about. They did standalone art for every single as they released each one, and they were doing it on a weekly basis. And what seems to be happening is there seems to be more of a comeback on the actual, because physical media is, I think it's kind of slowly, kind of sort of half-assed, kind of maybe doing a little bit of a trickling upward trend. I mean, you're not going to see Tower record stores popping up all over the place. You're not going to be able to buy, physical media at Best Buy and shit like anymore like we used to. But I think artwork is actually making a comeback, accompanying the music that comes out.
Mhm.
And if you guys have a half a dozen pieces of art to come out with this next album, I mean, that's just reviving the old school feel for guys like us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, I agree. The that's why I wanted to do it. And I worked with an awesome guy overseas who did our logo. And once he did our logo, this emblem that's on my hand here.
Oh,
So
nice.
once he did the emblem, I'm like, so do you do paintings or whatever? And he goes, yeah. So what he does is he does it all by hand, and then he digitizes it, and then he goes over it digitally and tweaks anything that needs to be done, adds whatever he needs done. But I like that idea because you can get a really good piece of art that you can blow up and make
Mhm.
really big that won't be pixelated, because
Mhm.
once he transfers it to digital, it looks fantastic. Now, I'm an
Yeah.
old school guy, I like the painting, but it's he did such good work. Uh, so yeah, he did every single piece of art. I just want to get his Insta to give him a shout out here. Um, and just all around awesome guy. Um, there he is. I don't know how you say his name. I've never spoken with the man on the phone. It's always been, but it's Tri space Walua, Waluya, and
Okay.
he is absolutely phenomenal. He does, and I asked him to. I remember for the front of the album, we've released that, and it's the sort of Jesus figure at the foot of the Jesus himself, basically on the cross, and he's split in half, and there's the uh, the layers of hell from Dante's Inferno is floating in the sky behind. I
Ah,
don't know if you guys have seen that artwork, but it's we were
I
very
have.
very
Yeah.
pleased with it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
have actually.
the back is like a scene in hell. And I remember talking to him. I'm like, okay, so like I want it filthy, I want it really gory, but not, but sort of restrained at the same time. Like I don't want it just a splatter of blood, because and I want Satan in the background, or the devil, or whatever, um, sort of hovering in the background, and I want nude corpses here and there on in this art. I wanted full old school Cannibal Corpse style
Right.
artwork, and he delivered in spades. So I can't wait to release that one, and I think it'd make a great shirt. So,
Yeah.
um,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's when you talk about the physical media sort of making a bit of a comeback, an upward trajectory. I noticed this too, and I think instead of it being like you said, instead of it being like in stores, I think it's going more niche. Like you're ordering direct
Yeah.
from each website. What I noticed is the like the limited editions. You get it direct, and you get something special. You get something unique.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's what's going on, because I noticed the same thing with film, because I'm like a huge horror nerd. Um, so for me, like I order from all the specialty stores, like where they're getting these old school bloody horror movies from, you know, anywhere from like the 60s through early 2000s, and it's just anything shot on film basically,
Yeah.
and everything is you know, restored, and it basically looks like you're going to the theater in your own house. It's amazing. So I'm big into that, but that's the same thing. You're not going to a store usually to get them. You're ordering it direct.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
almost it's kind of almost like a digital underground in a way,
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
sort of, you know. But I still like that it's making a little bit of a comeback. It's coming back around, and people are buying music more than just buying it for the music.
Agreed.
And I love that, you know, because people are buying it, and you know, and the artists are providing it, and it's cool, because obviously you can't have, of course, the fans won't buy it if the artists aren't producing it, but at the same time the artists are coming out with it and people are accepting it. So obviously
Yeah.
it's got to be a, you know, chicken and egg kind of thing. You got to have the art for people to, you know, to view it and buy it. But I like that the market has actually gotten back to that. I really do
Me
like that.
too. Me too.
And
Yeah.
and
I
give me
mean,
just a second.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. There
I
you go.
found one of the two. I found one of the two things I wanted to share, and I need to clarify. But yeah, we can do that in just a second. I'm going to share one too, and I need to clarify when I share these Cannibal Corpse things. Um, they Cannibal Corpse did do a collaboration with Puck Hockey, but this is not part of that. I was mistaken. I just wanted to clarify that before I
Mm,
share it. But it's still it's still ice hockey and it's still Cannibal Corpse together. So I mean, hey, what's not to like? So
yeah.
I'm guessing this is the cover you were just talking about.
That is the one. Yeah. So in
Yeah.
the
yeah,
background, you can see
Yeah. So you see
in
right
the
here.
clouds the dawn, or the layers of hell with the ice layer at the bottom.
Mhm.
But I remember this one took him a long time, because if you zoom, you don't have the original one. Obviously, this is just
Well, no,
on.
no, no, yeah, yeah.
But when you have the original one and you zoom in, and it's actually a wider painting, the original. And if you zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, the detail this man did in the background is exceptional. I was floored by it. And he took his sweet time, but I'm
Yeah.
very pleased with the result. Very
Well,
good artist.
I'm probably going to go out on a limb, and Chris may agree. We'll probably be showing this again at the end of
yeah,
the year. So,
yeah, more than likely.
because when we do our year in review stuff, we actually do a segment of our favorite album covers throughout the
Yes.
year. So,
Oh, nice,
so
nice,
that's part of our year in review stuff.
Yeah, I
So,
mean it's always
um,
it's
awesome.
for us it's always been, like I said, it's been part and parcel of the experience of music. I
mhm,
mean, you know,
Yes.
there for us there's always been a visual aspect to, you know, buying music. And we're not even talking about, you know, music videos, because I mean, you know,
Oh yeah, there's
we
that
don't
too.
even,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so we don't even really get those, you know, en masse anymore. I mean, they're, and truth be told, those are actually I mean, I haven't done any research into any analytics or any numbers to see like, how music video viewership is up or down or stagnant or whatever. But it seems to me that music videos are kind of making a comeback. It seemed like it's something that artists got away from for a little while. I mean, you know they may have done one for maybe the original single released on an upcoming album or something like that. But now, I mean, now you're getting, if not full blown videos from artists, you're at least getting lyric videos.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Yeah,
you're getting lyric
yeah, yeah.
videos. Of course, the cool thing now is you don't even have to be in your own music video if you don't want to. If you don't want it to be a performance video, or if you don't want it to be a video where you're in like a warehouse or out in a field, or
Yeah.
if you're in Finland in the forest, something. So you don't have to actually have you don't have to actually have to be live on location to shoot a music video anymore. So if you want it to just be a lyric video for a single, or if you want it to be and I know artists do this, if you want it to be just an AI produced music video, or if you just want it to be completely digital, animated, whatever. So you do have a lot more options now to do music videos. It doesn't just, the band doesn't absolutely have to be in the video. So
Yeah.
there's also new avenues for that too. So but there's always been a visual experience to go along with the music, especially in heavy metal,
Oh,
especially
100%. I
especially in
mean,
heavy.
I remember growing up, so this would have been late 90s, early 2000s when, so where I'm from, we had much music, and at a certain time of the day, so I think it was like 11 on a Friday or a Saturday. I think it was a Friday. They would do Much Loud, and it
Okay.
was like, I think it was like a half an hour. I'm trying to remember here, but I used to record it on
Yeah.
VHS. I used to sit and
Yeah.
wait for it to come because they would have all these metal bands, and basically I filled my CD collection with everything they would show. Basically,
Sure.
I remember, and it wasn't just like the mainstays like Slayer and all that. I mean, I first heard about Nothing Face, if you guys
Hmm.
remember
I
them.
Mhm.
remember Nothing Face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that where, and, like, they had, like, Spine Shank and,
Oh yeah, I remember them too.
oh, they were great. Um, I think
Glad to
there's I
glad to
think
see
they
that they're back too. By the way,
reformed. Sorry?
I said I'm sorry. I was gonna say I'm glad that Spine Shank is back too. By the way,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. Oh, it's
good that they're
awesome.
back.
It's
Yeah. Sorry.
awesome. No, no, you're good. And, like, anyway, they had, like, a ton of stuff that I'd never heard of. That's how I got into, like, Typo Negative, and that's how I got into, oh, what else was there? Like, Down, like, Phil
Oh yeah.
Anselmo's
Yeah.
other
Mhm.
band there. Um Man, yeah. I remember that quite well. And so like the visual aspect was always, yeah, of course you had the artwork,
Hmm.
music videos, and that's why we wanted to do like a real professionally shot music video for Vile Refrain. We had obviously like you have to figure out what you're going to spend money on, right?
Yeah.
We spent money on the studio, and the producer we used. He's the same guy who produced our record. Is also a director and producer for music videos. And so
Oh,
his name's
cool.
Joe Lyko from Dark Moon, and he did freaking fantastic job as always. So we were very very impressed with it. The and I remember he's like, "Do you want like a story to it?" And I'm like, "We don't like have it's expensive enough to film a video. So we're
Uh-huh.
like, we don't have like a ton of money to throw at like special effects and
Right.
a whole narrative but then we started talking and he's like, well, why don't we do something like it's called Vile Refrain. So why don't we have some vile imagery and we can work in post production. So I remember he's like, well, we can or how are you with worms? I'm like, what? And he's like, "How are you with worms?" I'm like, "They're fine, you know." And he's like, "Because I have a thought. We cover you with dirt. There's talk on this in this album about resurrection. There's talk about coming out of the grave. There's talk about um, vile things of all kinds." And he's like, "So why don't we get you covered in dirt? We'll get real worms, toss them all over you, I'm like, yeah, cool, I'm down. So we did that for it, and it really there's like two shots in the whole video with this effect. So basically, he took a wooden board, cut out a hole for my head, for my face, and I laid down. They did the lighting for it and covered the whole thing with dirt, and worms are crawling all over my face, um, and then basically had the camera overhead and shot the entire video. Was the song's like close to 6 minutes, and so he just said lay there for 6 minutes and like sing the lyrics. We didn't use like any of that. We just used two shots. and and right, and the best part for me, because thinking back on it, was he had us laying down, or he had me laying down, put the thing on, put all the dirt, all the worms, and I had a back spasm right
Oh no.
second he was done, and
Oh.
I'm like, Joe, 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 and he's like, what? I'm like, I'm having a back spasm. I think I need to get up. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, fuck it, I'll work through it.
Oh God, those suck
Minute back
so hard.
spasm,
Oh my God, those
Oh,
suck
I
so hard.
it was brutal. It was brutal right in my right side. It was
Oh,
awful. So
God,
good.
I
But I
God.
did it. But I got it done. Um so no, that was it was such an and then he goes, so the other thing we could do is since you're coming out of the grave, worms are all over you, we can have you puking worms. I'm like, okay. And he's like, how are you with worms in your mouth? I'm like, probably not a fan. And
Yeah,
so he's like, oh, well, then I'm going to get you fake worms, just like, from a bait shop. I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, I'm
yeah.
down with that. No problem. Right. And he goes, and I'm going to do like a pea soup that so it looks like puke. I'm like, okay. So he gets the pea soup. He gets the fake worms. He washes them, thank God. But he washes these fake worms. But I'm going to tell you this. I still want to gag thinking about this. But he goes, he hands me the worms, the fake worms, and they smelled so fucking awful. If you've ever smelled bait shop fucking worms,
Yeah, they're rubber.
they're
I mean, they're just
rank.
rubber worms. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
They're so rank, and I'm like, I would have preferred the real ones in this one. It was disgusting. And he's just like, okay, so we're gonna set you up. Got the lighting on me. He's like, okay, so we just got to get 30 seconds of you with worms and fake puking and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. So it's like just so swig the fucking pea soup
uh,
and then stick the fake worms in and do your thing. And I'm just like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to do this for, man. Just so I did the first one, and then we just kept going. Did like a few takes. It was like the most disgusting thing I've ever done, and we didn't even use real worms. I don't know. We got some cool shots. We got some very very cool shots. So it was worth it in the end. But yeah, that was gross. That was very gross.
That sounds rough.
Unpleasant.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
It's
sounds vile.
unpleasant.
exactly. Sounds about yeah.
But it's
There you
funny.
go.
But it's funny because I don't know if you've seen Bohemian Rhapsody, but it reminds me of that. It reminds me of that scene where they're talking about how long Bohemian Rhapsody is because they're trying to sell the song to the
Yep.
guy, and he's like, this song is 6 minutes long. This song is an eternity. And he says, and then like Rami Malek, he played Freddie Mercury. He's like, well, if you think 6 minutes is an eternity, I feel sorry for your wife, So and then you had to lay
That's a great
there,
line. That is
then
a great line.
then you had to lay there covered in dirt for 6 minutes, and
Yeah.
that's what that reminded me of.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good. Yeah, it was a
At least,
surprisingly
at
good
least you
movie.
didn't. At least you didn't have to do 6 minutes of the worm shot, though. So
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
that's true.
that was gnarly. Yeah, we got just enough footage. That's
yeah.
what we. Oh, I think I did see this. I think I did.
Slashed on
That
the
is.
ice.
Yeah.
I love the half head at the very front here with
Yeah.
the guts coming out of its mouth or whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's gnarly.
Yeah.
That's gnarly. Is that
And
PI?
I do believe it is.
But yeah, I mean, it looks like one of the ones that would have been done by hand. It's
Yeah,
impressive.
it does. It looks really good. And like I say, this wasn't even the one that wasn't even the one I was trying to show you. I'll find it too. But yeah, the goalie is all disemboweled. Wow. Yeah.
Fun. It's good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if I
Well, that's
can.
what I'm saying. As like, you know, somebody grew up with that, like we were talking about, is you would rather have that in your hand and look at it all the time than to. I mean,
Oh, that's it.
you're not going to see it unless you just digitally. You're not ever going to see it hardly because most of the time, if you're listening to that music digitally, you're doing something. You're working out. You're driving.
Right.
Somewhere where you're not being able to look at artworks. I mean, to be able to have it in hand and look at it. And that's one of the things that I like about stuff like that too is being able to go back and look at stuff later because I mean I got albums and stuff from bands that have been on the show and I've been able to go back and look and
Let me
and
see if I can. Oh, there's the other one that I was wanting. There. This is the actual. I don't know if you could. I don't know if you could see. This was the one I. Yeah, this is the one I
Huh?
actually. This is the one I actually
I
meant to
hadn't
show
seen
you.
this one. I hadn't seen this one.
oh
Yeah.
he's
So this.
eating
Yeah, this was the one I was
Wow.
actually. Yeah, this was the one I originally
face
had.
off with flesh.
Yeah. So.
Again, that's impressive. Like they got
Wow, wow, Matt,
AI did a
You Canadians are brutal, man. Like,
yeah, yeah, we're nuts.
uh,
And
Holy shit.
the funny thing is, and Matt can attest to this. This is pretty close to how obsessed they are with hockey. So.
Oh my god. Oh my god, yeah.
so
And that's
is that supposed to be the Stanley Cup or something? I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
tell.
it's
So,
supposed to be.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
oh,
supposed to
gotcha.
be. But
Yeah, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
Go to hell
That's
sign in
gnarly.
the back.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
That
funny.
is pretty crazy.
yeah,
I'm not a I'll say I'm not a fan of AI in a lot of ways, but it can do some
No.
wild and cool
yeah,
stuff. I
yeah.
will
It
say
really.
that. I will say that. Like
Yeah, it's
that's impressive. I mean, when you start getting into the weeds with it and you pull it apart like you're like, what the hell is that?
yeah,
Like that's when it starts to fall apart a bit, but like just as the image itself, it has a very close style to the album artwork of classic Cannibal Corpse. I mean, that's
Mhm.
impressive.
yeah. Yeah,
That's very
and that's
impressive.
the thing is I thought it was some because I knew they had that collaboration going, so I thought that may have been something that they were working on, and then I read into it's like, oh shit, okay, I want to clarify that way people aren't out there like looking for
No, yeah,
looking for shirts and anything else because I mean
That is pretty
because
cool.
there were actually people in the comments they were like if this was real I would buy this in a heartbeat, so I was like oh shit it's fake, all right, so
Yeah,
but
yeah, I'm right there with them though.
yeah.
What was I going to say though? There's you brought something up. Oh yes, about physical media. The other thing that I'm a huge proponent of is having your copy of something because when you have digital platforms, whether it's for movies or Netflix, Amazon Prime, and all that shit, or music like Spotify, YouTube,
Hmm.
whatever you're using, the possibility of those things being taken down is
Absolutely.
is big.
Yeah.
And I there's some people who I know who are like trying to find a movie and contacting me like, hey, do you know where I can get this? And I'll send them a link for like physical media. Um, and if they have the capacity to watch these things, because that's another thing, if you don't have
Hmm.
actual players anymore, you can't really watch them. But I'll send them a link or something like that. But like, yeah, it was on Prime for a while, and now it's gone. I don't know where to get it, and especially with me, like I watch really cheesy, fun horror movies that are fairly low budget stuff.
Hmm.
So they're hard to find unless you're ordering, this rare special edition that costs way too much, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but it's where whatever, it's my passion, so I'll,
Yeah.
I'll spend the money, but just to your point about digital, I do think it's handy to have, like you're saying,
Yeah.
like if you're doing a
Sure.
workout or whatever, you're driving, it's nice to have um the digital platforms, but I really do fear that we're putting so much reliance and trust in a digital network that if they just, you know, and not to get too political here, but depending on who's in power and what organizations think, you know, what is offensive, the
Yep.
second you get someone going like, "Oh, that's too far. We shouldn't have that." I mean, I can think of a lot of lyrics from again going back to
Oh
Cannibal
God,
Corpse,
yeah, yeah,
you know, where you're like, "Oh, that wouldn't get released now," or it would have a hard time now. Maybe it would still get released. I don't know, but I mean, Cannibal Corpse's lyrics are not what they were before. They're excellent, and I think they're great, but they're often not as I don't know, graphic or explicit.
yeah,
Explicit. I think explicit's the word I'm looking
yeah.
for. They're not as explicit as they once were, which you know,
Mhm.
it's just growth of the band, and that's fine.
Sure.
But but their earlier stuff, where I remember reading some of the lyrics off of what is it, Eaten Alive, and um, oh, what's it, Butchered at Birth, and all
Yeah.
that stuff, and just like, oh my god, this is disgusting. But it's like
Well, I
it
mean,
to me, it's all art.
yeah,
It's
and I
all
mean,
art.
yeah, and I mean, they play "I Come Blood Last" for a reason. So I mean,
Seeing that live was great, by the way. Seeing them, oh my god. Uh,
we got to see them at Louder Than Life last year, and that was actually a first for me to see Cannibal Corpse, and I that was like that's a check, you know, bucket list
yes,
band check off the
me
list.
too.
That was it was awesome. So you know, and that's the thing is, you know, the whole thing about and that's the thing is art in general has always been persecuted, you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
sculpture, painting,
Yep.
whatever. And you
Mhm.
know, we all know about the PMRC shit that happened in the 80s. So I mean, art has
Yeah.
always been under attack, you know. So and you know, so the possibility of that coming around again, because the how readily accessible art is now, when you know, talking about music in this specific instance, of course.
Mhm.
But if some government agency, or you know, some, especially, you know, here in the United States, if you know, one branch, you know, or well, if one senator or whatever decides that they get a wild hair up their ass and they want to, you know, come after this shit again, because I mean, anyone of any age can really listen to anything they want. You know, if they're not being monitored, you know, a 4-year old can listen to, you know, "I Come Blood" if they just so happen to stumble upon it, which is funny to think about, you know. But
Yeah, yeah.
of
The
course,
image
good
in
luck.
my head. The
Yeah,
image
so
in my head is what I'm laughing at. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, honestly, you know, good luck a
Them
4-year old.
bopping to it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, a 4-year old being able to understand, well, to either to be able to decipher the lyrics for one,
That's
and
one thing. Yeah.
to be able to comprehend what they're listening to is another thing. So,
Mhm.
but that's, I guess that's kind of an extreme example, but it is possible. So, I mean, if you get some, you know, 75-year-old senator who's been in politics way too long, who decides they
Right.
want to introduce a bill to, you know, you know, the, you know, Save Our Children from Spotify Act or some bullshit like that, you know. So, I mean,
You
it's
never
not out.
know, right?
That's the thing, is it's
Mhm.
not outside the realm of possibility
I
for
know.
that to happen. So that's what sucks. And then, you know, we all have to worry about, well, can we, you know, will we be able to, you know, take our music with us, and will we have to, you know, so yeah, part of the beauty of going out and getting your hands on physical media, whether or not, you know, because I've still got a bunch of DVDs and CDs downstairs. I know Jason's got a shit ton of physical media, and even though it's blurry, we can see a big ass bookshelf behind you with a ton of stuff.
Oh,
Right.
so hold
You know,
on,
so,
hold
I mean,
on. It just keeps
oh
going.
Jesus,
It
Oh
just
you got
wow.
keeps
a
going.
fault
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on. God Almighty. So yeah, but
Thousands of films.
yeah,
Yeah.
and another perfect example of that is, I don't know if you guys remember the Kevin Smith movie Dogma.
Do I
He's
remember?
got it.
Hold on. I
Yeah,
got this wicked special edition of it
He
from
knows right where to go
Australia.
to. Look at that.
he did. He went right to it.
I knew exactly where it was. Let's see
Oh, see,
here.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
Oh
awesome. But
wow.
anyway, yeah.
I and I actually I don't have that, but I have the DVD of it, and I bought it when it first came out because I watched the movie. I was like, oh, that's a banger of a movie. I need to have it,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
I have it. So, but the funny thing is I don't you may Matt, you may know this, but you couldn't find that movie literally anywhere for over a decade. They
That's
weren't.
right. That's right.
It wasn't streaming. It wasn't the physical media wasn't being sold in stores. Just recently, it started popping back up because I have a
Because we did the 4K scan.
yeah.
That's why. So they now that physical media is starting to come back a bit, um, and and that's great for me, and I'm all
Mhm.
for it. But they what they're doing is they're actually going back to the negatives and scanning these films, and so they're getting another, and that's for streaming
Yeah,
mainly.
yeah.
Mhm.
What
But
I
yeah,
Yeah, and I have kind of I've got a coworker who's like a cinephile like you, and because we were talking about it, and he said that, like I say, don't anyone who's watching this, fact check me or anything because I don't know this for sure. But my buddy at work told me that the reason why that you couldn't get it for so long is because it was a Weinstein picture, and
Mm.
the reason why you couldn't get it is because it was a Weinstein picture. And the reason why you can actually, it's starting to come back around now is Kevin Smith actually was able to get his hands back on it.
partly that's partly
So,
true.
so like I say, I don't know how true that is, but that's what I was told. So,
I think there's some truth to that. The other aspect of it, and I think it plays into what you're saying, is that the rights for the Miramax titles, which was Weinstein's company there,
yes.
went to Paramount.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that now it's no longer so tightly associated with that horrific scandal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's so a lot of those Paramount titles that like Miramax did some bangers, man.
They
Like,
really did. Yeah.
and because I know with Dogma, I'm pretty sure that was Weinstein. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think because there's a bunch of movies recently that got released on like 4K and everything
Mhm.
that were also from that library that got shifted over during the rights being moved over. I'm just trying to I can't remember what it was. There's one that I was like waiting for years and it finally got released, but it escapes me right now.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the Dimension, if you remember Dimension films, is
I
like
do. I do.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, Dimension Film. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of those went reverted to Paramount because those were under the same sort of umbrella, I think.
Yeah, it's.
Well,
I mean, it's also good to see some of these. It's also good to see that some of these, defunct or just old production companies. It's good to see that some of this stuff's actually being revived too.
yeah.
And
Hundred
I mean,
percent.
any scandal aside or anything like that. But I mean, it just,
Oh yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
I mean, just just some stuff that was maybe at the time was borderline B list or whatever. Just some of these studios that weren't big budget. They weren't MGM. They weren't
Mhm.
Right.
Paramount. They weren't Warner Brothers. Whatever. So I mean, so it's good that it's good that some of this material is being purchased and revived. But yeah,
I'm
Dogma,
all
you
for
could
it.
you yeah for I'm absolutely all for it. And the cool thing is we also have, streaming platforms like my daughter, she's got Shutter, I think that's the
Mhm.
name of it.
Yeah, the horror one. Yeah.
She's got Shutter, and then, God, there's a million and one things you can find on Tubi. I don't know if you know about Tubi, but
Tubi
yeah,
is
and it's
amazing.
yeah,
Mhm.
Tubi. My wife and I, we love watching like late. We like watching the old kung fu movies on Tubi and shit
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Love watching kung fu movies on Tubi and stuff like the Shaw Brothers films.
Yes, Shaw
God,
Brothers
I mean,
films are amazing. Yeah.
they were the best at it. So, but so we like watching
Some
those there
Something
too.
about that too is I like seeing companies that are still around, like Lionsgate. When Lionsgate was out back in the '90s, all they did was B movies with like Jean Claude Van Damme and Steven
Hmm.
Seagal, and now they're like this big thing doing all these big time
Yeah,
you know
S-
Oscar winning stuff now, and it's just
But
crazy
they've
to
got
see.
their niche too now with physical media. So on their official website, for they do these limited edition titles. Dogma, I think, was one of them. Um, but not the one that I have. But they did their own one. I'm pretty sure,
yeah.
and one of the ones that just got, just to your point about the low budget stuff from Lionsgate back in the day. So Lionsgate acquired all like the Vidmark and
Oh God.
Vestron titles, and they just you guys know what Leprechaun is?
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
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 They just did a 4K scan of the original Leprechaun, and it's coming out
Wow.
on 4K. And I had to order it, of course. But
Oh, but you had to order just to watch him ride the tricycle in 4K. You know.
oh yeah, the
Uh,
fact that that's getting a release, I just love it. So exactly, and it's nice to see these companies still catering to their, you know, to their base basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lionsgate started out pretty low budget, pretty
mhm.
and then when they acquired and like Vidmark and Vestron titles were just like really cheesy B movies a lot of the time. Um and so now getting that absorbed into Lionsgate, at first it was a bad thing because they weren't releasing anything. They just weren't, they wouldn't touch their back catalog. Now they seem to have found a little niche market for these limited editions. So,
Yeah.
you know, all for
Well,
it.
yeah, for all
Absolutely
Well,
all
and
for it.
and for everybody listening that don't understand what we're talking about when we say B cheesy B movies, it's kind of like the equivalent to being on like being considered like just a basic Hallmark actor these days. So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Like, yeah, B movies, and that's that term sort of has changed over the years, I guess. But
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah,
then but that's the funny thing in this context, we're not using that as,
uh,
derogatory because
right,
no,
like
no,
a
no.
stab or
yeah,
anything.
no, some of my favorite movies are just
Oh
it's
yeah,
just yeah. So I mean,
Oh yeah,
this is it's big to
no
me
shade
it's
thrown, as they say. No
yeah,
shade thrown. Yeah.
to me it's kind of become a slight term of endearment because I mean because everyone's got these guilty pleasure movies or movies they remember from when they were a kid, shit like that,
Yes.
whatever. So I mean and so it wasn't not every movie could be Titanic or Terminator 2 or
mm,
Schindler's List or whatever. So I mean
Sure.
you know it, movie production literally runs the gamut. So I mean
I
of course,
yeah.
some movies are better than others, of course, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy them. That's the thing. It's just it's just escapism. That's all it is. It's all that's
I
all of this is.
I
mm,
will take a cheesy B movie, um, or whatever, over an A-list film 90% of the time.
Yeah, me too.
I find there's an honesty to low budget filmmaking. It's
mhm,
like I remember someone was saying this, I can't remember who coined this phrase, but limitation breeds innovation. So
Hmm.
you have to work with what you have, and I can relate that even to our music video, right? Like
Sure.
we
Yeah.
had to work with what we had at the time. Like we can't do any big budget stuff. We spent the money on getting the studio and the director and everything else. We're sort of like, let's use what they have, get a couple of cool shots. We did some digital effects in the video, but that's it. Very minimal.
Yeah.
Um, and the same thing goes with film. Like, you have your budget and you have to find innovative ways. Like I think about the movie Evil Dead, where Sam Raimi doesn't have a steady cam, right? So he has to create one. So they literally made their own steady cam, for certain shots. And that's like, you want to, you have crazy wild ideas, but you don't have the budget to do it. You get innovative and you come up with things that maybe no one's ever done before.
Yep.
And that's which is what happened with Evil Dead. Like, there's nothing like that film. Like, you can't go. I remember when I first saw it when I was quite young. I'm like, this is different. This is, and it became one of
mhm,
my favorites. You
Yeah.
know,
mm. Well, if you look at like I don't know if they still do it because I haven't paid much attention to the Oscars and stuff in a long time. But if you go back and look, maybe say 4 or 5 years ago, I think is when I was digging into it a little bit. they had a lot of movies that were probably nominated that you never heard of. You're just like, well, no, I don't remember seeing that
Oh yeah,
movie in
yeah,
like theater. So if you go and look at it, it's like a lot of those movies that were winning Oscars didn't do well in the theaters. So they were
yeah,
trying to push DVD sales with those movies, is what they were doing. So that was kind of like a, you were like, oh, why didn't that win? Because I know a lot of people watched that movie in the theater. Well, because a lot of people watched that movie in the theater, that's why it didn't win. So
yeah.
Mhm.
so because they had a alternative, an interior motive for
Yeah, you
doing the
definitely.
things. So and I think a lot of that's too is peer peer voting. So it's not like a you can go on there and pick on what you thought was best. So it's kind of a when you're dealing with peer stuff, it's kind of like, yeah, they're just
There's a lot of politics involved with
oh yeah,
internal politics with the Oscars and
or any award show
I was
really. I
just about
mean,
to say the same
yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Oh
any
yeah,
award
yeah,
show.
for sure, for sure. And I remember the day I stopped watching the Oscars. I remember the day it was. It was when the year 2000, that for that year, Requiem for a Dream was not nominated for Best Picture, and Ellen Burstyn was nominated for Best Actress, I believe, and I think that's it. And the fact that that film, which is an absolute masterpiece, did not win Best Picture of the Year, I'm like, okay, this is stupid. Like, I'm not. Why I can't even remember what it was that year that won. Was it Aaron Brockovich or something like that?
No,
I can't
sounds about
remember. That
right.
was, but it was either that or something similar. But I remember I'm like, that just goes to show that there are politics involved with the film. It's not what is technically the best film or what is most
yeah.
impactful. You get the one that needs to win.
So
You're
so
like,
you, right. So you're talking about the Oscars in 2000 for the movies that came out in 99.
No, no, no. For the movies that came out in 2000, so that would have
Oh,
been
okay, 2001. Hang on a
yeah,
second,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm gonna look that
Yeah,
up.
my bad. Yeah, that's what I meant.
That's okay.
That's what
That's
I meant.
okay.
you were like, this is Metallica and Jethro Tull all over again.
Yeah. Actually, Gladiator won Best
Oh,
Picture.
okay.
Ah,
Oh,
yes,
whoa, wait
that's
a
it.
minute.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now that is
Gladiator.
a great film.
It
That is
was
a
a
Yeah,
great
great
yeah,
film.
movie.
Yeah, I'm not.
uh,
You know,
yeah, Gladiator won Best Picture and Best Actor. Uh, Julia Roberts won Best Actress for Aaron Brockovich,
that's
and
what it was that
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
pissed me off
and
because she
then
was nominated. Ellen Burstyn was nominated for that.
yeah, and then
Ah, that's
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon took Best Foreign
mm,
Language Film.
Yeah, I can see that.
Steven Soderbergh won Best Director for Traffic. Best Supporting Actor Benicio del Toro in Traffic. Best Supporting Actress Marcia Gay Harden for Pollock. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
there's uh, there's others of course, but those are the high
the
points.
big
But
yeah, those are the highlights. But again, like that sort of highlighted to me what what those award shows are all about. And I was how old would I have been in? I would have been in grade 99, 2000. So I would have been going into I would have been grade 10, I
yeah,
think.
yeah,
Grade 10 or 11. Grade 10 or 11. And that was like the last time I watched the Oscars. I'm like, I'm done. I'm
yeah.
done. Even though it might be sort of a silly thing because I know it's a lot of pageantry and politics there. Like you're trying,
Oh yeah,
someone who didn't win maybe 5 years ago who should have won. Sometimes they'll bring them back, even though the film or the performance wasn't anywhere near as good, and they'll give them it. Then they'll give them their flowers, as they
yeah.
say.
It's so disingenuous though. At that point, I mean,
Yep.
because I mean, people they see right. The populace, like the three of us. I mean, they see right through that shit.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
you're not coming out and saying it, but even you see them up there, and you're like, hell well that movie wasn't worth giving them that award for. You know it for. Yeah, I mean, you know
Hundred
for a
percent.
fact.
100%. Yeah.
So it's
No, I
just ugh.
yeah. It becomes a circus to a
Mhm.
large degree where it nothing's real, and I stick to what I like. My film collection, as I showed you, is
Oh
vast,
yeah,
and I stick to the stuff that speaks to me. And I realized a long time ago that I don't like critics, even though I used to watch Roger Ebert back in the day.
mm-hmm.
Ebert and Roper and Ebert, Siskel and Ebert.
Siskel and Ebert, yeah.
Yeah, both of their iterations. Um, I used to watch them, but they, when Fight Club came out, I remember Roger Ebert just shit all over that film, and I'm like, did we watch the same film?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly.
Like, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
So I got to ask you. So we're kind of going to kind of re get back to base here, but
Yeah. For
we
sure. We
but
went on a bit of
I'm
a
going to
detour.
intertwine both of these here. I'm going to intertwine music and your movie thing here because you said you were a horror film. I wanted to know if you ever watched the film Black Roses.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I have
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yes,
Do you
that's
really?
the heavy metal one.
Yeah,
Yeah. I have
yeah.
the Blu-ray somewhere
That
from.
yeah, I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
like now if you watch it, it's kind of cheesy because of
Oh,
special
silly!
effects. Yeah,
It's
but I mean the
silly, but
special effects were probably good for that time. And I made my wife watch it a few years back, and she goes, "This is cheesy." I'm like, "Well, yeah, because this is like 2020. I mean, it's like so yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be cheesy now." But I remember watching that back when I was I was probably like 15 or 16 when I
oh
seen
yeah,
that movie, and it was just like I was like, "Man, this is cool as hell," because you didn't really besides Trick or Treat, there really wasn't a lot of
I was about to make
metal,
I
you
was
know,
about to do the same.
I was, I was
and
gonna bring
of
up-
course the movie Heavy Metal. There wasn't a lot of metal influenced movies, so
Yeah,
to have that was kind of pretty awesome. I was like, man, this is pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
So,
that's true. And a lot of the like music in horror movies was always a thing too, or at
yeah,
least
I mean,
especially in the 80s.
yeah, and I think more. I think we can say that more now than we could ever. That
yeah,
horror and metal just kind
yeah.
of go,
Oh yeah, huge.
are like a huge crossover now. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
especially when
remember.
you got last like Spencer Charters from Last Night Kills. It's all the
yeah,
big horror buff, and he includes it in all his music. And
That's true.
of course, he's kind of like gotten these relationships with these horror people too. So he's actually got a film written. I'm kind of hoping somebody picks it up and lets him do it because it looked pretty. Like he did a short of it, like a scene that he shot of it, and I guess he's like doing it to send it in to try to get somebody to bite on it.
Yep.
And it looked pretty good. I'm like, oh man, this looks pretty good. This looks like some Saw shit, So
Cool.
yeah. So
Very, very
hopefully, I think that may be his niche if he ever gets out of music. But
But that was always, yeah, I can remember seeing music videos back in the day, and you can tell like the the crossover with metal and
mhm.
horror is huge. And then they really capitalized on that in the late 90s with the, I guess, like bigger budget horror films, stuff that was coming to theaters, like I mean, what was it, Queen of the Damned?
yeah. Queen of the
Yeah,
Damned. Yeah.
Literally, it
yeah,
was great soundtrack.
Mhm.
yeah,
Um, front to back, just like great soundtrack. And then
Same thing with the soundtrack to The Crow. Same
yeah.
thing.
yeah, yeah, that was really really good. Yeah, the Crow soundtrack is one of the best actually. But they were doing that whole thing. There was Spawn as well.
Oh
Had a
yeah, I
great
forgot about
great soundtrack.
Spawn. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Burn in Hell by Judas Priest that you can't fucking
Yup.
find anywhere.
So,
yeah, Long Hard Road Out of Hell by Manson, and yeah, a lot of great tracks on that. I'm trying to think of what else was there, but
Well,
yeah, there was that huge crossover where, and you'd go out and buy the CD,
right.
and
I have
every
the
song would be metal.
mhm.
I think I actually have the physical Queen of the Damned soundtrack downstairs. I think I do.
I got the vinyl.
I got the crow one somewhere. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
But
Crow one is
well,
just next
well, I
level.
mean, it was almost like it was almost like what this source material, as far as soundtracks go, not necessarily movies, but it's almost like as metalheads, like you guys had this source material the entire fucking time. It's like
Oh yeah,
what took you so long to realize that the imagery that has been created for decades.
Well, it's kind of like
What
when
took you so long to realize that you've got, I mean, it's built in.
oh yeah,
You know, but,
100%.
but it seemed like up until a certain point, the only time heavy metal was referenced in a movie when it was just shit on as a genre. It's like, oh, it's all inherently evil, and of course, like in
Satan worship. Yeah,
yeah, in the example of like Trick or Treat, I mean, hell, you had Ozzy Osbourne on that movie as a preacher, which is fucking
oh, it's
hilarious.
great. It was
It's
so
so
good,
fucking
so
funny.
good.
So I mean, but other than that, it was like we can use heavy metal as the root of all evil.
Yeah,
And then up to a certain point, that's all that heavy metal was referenced as, was the root of all evil. And then it
yeah,
finally kind of, was more accepted as source material and just for the imagery, good and bad, of
yep,
course. But I
yep.
mean, it was just for a while, heavy metal was just, it's all bad, and we can use this as, the villain and everything else. And so as it became more accepted, as far as, the wider ranging overarching, source material that you could use it as, because
Yeah.
because of course, we would be lying to everybody if we were sitting here going, yeah, metal is not satanic. Of course there's satanic metal bands, of course
Oh,
there
of
are,
course.
of course there are.
Yeah.
You're not going to sit here and lie to anybody's faces, but for every behemoth there's a striper. For every
It's
for
true.
every
It's true.
pick a band and there's a demon hunter, pick a band and there's a weapons of God who we've interviewed on the show. So I mean, but people want to there are certain groups of people, they want to latch onto one thing and clutch their pearls about it. So I mean, those people you're never going to win over. You're just not.
No, no,
So,
you're not. And Slayer, I mean, is a great example of a band who, on for all intents and purposes, looks like a Satanist band. And you have Tom Araya, who is a Christian.
yeah,
He's Catholic,
yeah, he's Catholic.
Yeah,
but
Catholic. Yeah.
like a practicing devout Catholic and the sweetest human. Like it's yeah, I've never understood how you can't separate how some people can't separate the notion of like these are themes that they're exploring. This is art. This is, and I mean, if you look at a lot of their early album covers,
Mm-hmm.
they looked like biblical artwork. They look like
Mm-hmm.
church artwork.
Yeah.
Stuff that you'd see, or stuff you'd see in like Dante's Inferno, Paradise Lost, right? Like you have this artwork that is very closely tied into, which is, you know, not to bring it right back to me, but which is why we did the artwork the way we did. I had the concept from album one to album two. I wanted to explore themes of spirituality and the church, but from a very personal but metaphorical perspective. And so I look at the great bands, the great metal bands, in the same way. This is art. This is something. Even Behemoth, who claim to be like Satanist and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, if you've ever read the Satanic Bible, which I have, if you've ever read it, it's like, I'm not a Satanist by any stretch of the imagination. I read it out of curiosity. And when I read it, I thought, oh, this is completely misunderstood. This is not at all like, sacrificing people and all this shit. It's all about, it is blasphemous because it's about self-worship and self-will. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so it is against the church in that regard, but it's
Sure. Yeah.
not at all what people have made it out to be. And so when I hear Behemoth, I'm like, okay, he's got a different perspective than I do. But I love the imagery. I love the sound. I think it's just beautiful artwork. If you've ever gotten one of their vinyls, it's just the artwork is outstanding. Um, so I don't know. I'm of the opinion that the way people have demonized metal music, especially. I mean, it was rock and roll before that.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Probably blues before that, and
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but Led Zeppelin and all of them were heavily criticized and
Well,
for just being. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, well, shit, they were censoring Elvis from the waist down, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely, like, thinking about that nowadays is
Right.
absolutely.
It's just, I mean, my God. I mean,
It's great.
so that's the thing, is it's always been, always been something, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh
always
yeah.
been
Well,
something.
actually,
And
They're
actually,
afraid of the impact, right?
I don't know if you remember, like there was like a time frame where like these memes were going around where they had like you know, so you know Abraham Lincoln and had like a little quote out beside it and it said probably. You know, probably Abraham Lincoln. You know, so stuff like
I
so.
got
I had done one, and it was like I think it was like Hamilton or something, and I had a picture of him up there, and I said, "Show me them ankles, girl," and it said probably something he said to his maid, you know.
yeah,
Because you know showing ankles back then was like
I was about to
horrible.
say
Oh my
that
god,
I was about to say that used to actually literally be scandalous.
that.
I mean,
yeah.
it just
Wild.
it is just it is amazing about how repressed.
What would
Oh
the
my
forefathers
god!
think about Cardi B? You know, like it's absolutely hilarious
They would.
just to
Yeah,
think about
could you?
the shift in culture.
You know,
Yeah,
if time machines were real and they would have went in, we should make a movie like that. God damn it, we're going to have to get this posted real quick and copyrighted. But
yeah,
where they like go forward and like, oh, y'all can watch naked women on YouTube. Like, what the hell?
yeah.
You know?
It's insane. Yeah, the culture shift has been wild, absolutely wild. And I mean, even I can think back to how, and I grew up in a time that was fairly liberal as well, like the 90s with
Mhm.
TV past a, you know, if you had like basic cable, like past, was it 11 p.m. on whatever Saturdays, Fridays or Saturdays, you'd have like we had something called Bleu Nuit, which was like the Quebecois channel 11 or something, and they'd show like softcore porn after like 11 p.m. and it was
Oh,
every
all right.
young boy just
Like our
waiting for
Skinamax.
11 p.m. right on a
Yeah.
Saturday.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and but like even some of the regular stations past a certain time, but before that, I mean, seeing any sort of nudity or violence on TV was like unheard of.
Well,
So it's mm,
I remember the first time, and it was NYPD Blue, and they made a big ass deal about it. They were because it was the first time. Jeez, I'm laughing at it. I can't believe we were ever like this, but it was the first time. You know, because you could say like ass and damn,
Mhm.
but I remember
bitch and yeah,
this
yeah,
one
yeah,
episode
yeah,
of
yeah.
NYPD Blue. They were talking about the lead up to it was like there's gonna be the word shit in it.
Oh
So
right, and that South Park did the whole
yeah,
spin
yeah,
on that.
yeah.
Yes,
So
yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
and
yes.
so, I mean they were doing like a 1 month lead up to this one episode of NYPD Blue. It's like they're gonna unbleep the S word in this episode. I was like,
Oh my god.
really? I was like I've been saying that. I've been saying it for years. I've heard it ever since I was a kid. I mean, it's just like, but it's just we were just. Of course, we still are. We're so uptight with it. Just
Oh my God, are we ever?
even with all the, I mean, if you want to call it progress, I kind of do call it progress because I mean, you know, I mean, come
I,
on, let's
yeah,
not take ourselves so seriously. But I mean, even with
Yeah,
all the progress we've made, it's still so there's still so many people who are like language. It's like, oh come on,
yeah,
man,
it's
you know,
there's a.
ridiculous.
I remember too. Like my mom used to watch. I don't remember which one it was. It was like one of the little like Law and Order type shows or something that used to be on in the '90s, and like one of the first scenes was you know the guy and his wife were laying there and then they called him to come in or whatever for somebody got murdered. So he's getting out of bed and like it shows his ass while he's walking to the bathroom and she was just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're showing that on
The
TV."
scandal,
I'm
the
like,
scandal.
I'm
Yeah.
like, Mom, it's just a butt. Like, what are you talking
yeah,
about?
yeah,
I'm like,
it's just a butt, you know. So
No,
but I
yeah,
just I remember that
it's
shit's
very
funny.
true. That is very, very true. I remember and that there's silly rules with each
Mhm.
network and each company. What was
Yeah.
it? Who released Walking Dead? Was it ABC or
AMC, yeah,
AMC? Thank you.
yeah.
I knew it was one of the two. So if you watch Walking Dead, they will swear to a certain degree, but they'll never say fuck.
actually, they said it once.
Did they?
They said it one time.
Yeah.
If you
But
remember,
later?
it was later. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I
they
thought.
said
That's
it.
what I thought.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
okay.
did. They said fuck one time, and I remember. I don't remember the name of the episode or what season it was, but it was the episode where Rick and Daryl, they were obviously walking around in the woods because that's all they ever did, walk around in the woods. But anyway,
That's the whole
it's
show.
right.
Yeah.
It's the whole
Yeah,
show.
you're right.
But they were walking around, and it was the episode where Jesus was introduced into the show.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Oh
but
yeah.
it was before you got to see his face, because he was, jumping around and he had his face covered. And at
Yeah.
one point they were, they got away from him or they lost him or something. And Daryl was talking to Rick, and Rick went, "Oh, fuck that guy." That was the only time they ever said fuck. But that's the thing is like, because like my daughter has read the comics,
Yeah.
and everyone, she was like, "Oh, the comics are," because that's a violent show and they do
Yeah.
swear a
Oh,
lot.
the gore is out of this
Yeah,
world.
but
Yeah.
my daughter was like, "Oh, this show doesn't even begin to touch the violence and the language and everything else." So I was like, "Well, then why?" And I was like, "It's AMC. It's like, why aren't they?" And don't get me wrong, you can go overboard with fuck. Just ask Deadwood, but you know, uh, so you can go overboard with fuck. And
Oh yeah,
don't
it
get me
becomes
wrong. So,
yeah, like
but
what's the word? Gratuitous. It becomes
yeah.
gratuitous,
Yeah, it
right?
does, and it's just at some point you're just saying it because you're allowed to. So I mean, so sometimes it's like, all right, just because I'm a hockey player and I'm a metalhead. I say fuck plenty,
Oh
but
yeah,
I mean,
I swear up and down. Yeah.
so I mean, but at some point you're like, okay, when it's every other word, when it's a noun, a verb, an adjective, so I mean, calm down. But
Yeah, yeah. You
when it's
can't string a sentence together without it, right?
without saying it, yeah.
Uh,
So I have no problem with the word, but at some point it's like, yeah. But so when Kayla was like, she was like, "Oh, you have no idea how much worse the comics are than the TV show." Of course, books and movies, they're never the same. But she's like, "Oh, you have no idea how much worse the comics are." But then I was like, "Well, then why aren't they? Then why don't we hear?" I was surprised that the because it caught my attention. It's like,
yeah.
holy, that's the first time they've said that on this show. Because they're cutting zombies, and they never said the word zombie either. Never used the word zombie. They never said zombie,
Yeah.
not once. They always called them
Walkers
walk. Every group had their
Right,
own name for it. They never said the word zombie, not once.
right.
But
That's interesting.
the first time they said the word fuck, I was like, oh, that was the first time they've said that. So it not using it,
You actually noticed what I'm talking about, which is
yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
So it's actually weird that it's gotten to the point where not swearing makes more of an impact than it did when the NYPD Blue said shit for the first time. So
Well,
it's weird that the direction it's gone in.
it doesn't.
Oh,
It doesn't.
100%.
So it's not realistic. It doesn't make sense to a viewer
Right.
if me and you were fighting and one of us didn't say, "Oh fuck," when you got hit in the mouth. I mean, it wouldn't. I mean,
It's not real.
It's not. It's
Yeah.
not a natural
Well-
reaction. You know what I'm saying? It's just like,
Well, and that's
"Oh,
what
you hit me.
yeah, well,
Good one, pal."
exactly. And see that's the funny thing is that and watch what I do, Jason. Watch this. This is what used to get me about WCW back when I used to watch
Oh my
wrestling.
God.
Back when I used to watch WCW and WWF at the same time. Because you're talking about when the Attitude Era was going on, in WCW, they were still doing promos where they'd be like, "I'm gonna kick your butt, buddy," and you would flip over and watch WWE, and Stone Cold's coming to the ring, and he's giving Vince McMahon the double bird.
Right.
So I mean, WCW's over here still
Drinking
talking.
beer and all this other.
Yeah, so I mean, but that's the whole thing. It's like you're watching Stone Cold do his thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, they weren't, because now that WWE is streaming, they're full on swearing now because they're not on
Oh, yeah.
they're not on a network anymore.
Yeah.
But at the time, whether it was TNN or USA or whatever, you still had standards and practices and shit, which is weird because they were still doing bra and panties matches. But when it came to the language, I mean, ass, Stone Cold, Austin 316 says, "I just whipped your ass." I mean, the language was a little more realistic, but then you flip over to TBS and you're watching WCW. Yeah, you're watching, Dusty Rhodes talking about I'm gonna whip your butt, Bubba. So it's like, man, people, grown men
No one talks like this.
grown men don't
Yeah.
talk to each other like that when they're threatening to beat the shit out of each other. They don't talk like that.
Well, the
Yeah.
bad thing is you had people that were in charge of sections of WCW at the time that were from the 80s era NWA.
Yeah.
And they were from the Crockett era of NWA, so they weren't allowed to do those things. So they were bringing that with them when they're in different positions with the company and higher positions of the company. So the wrestlers that were coming in were wanting to do this stuff, and they're like, "Oh no, man. Dusty Rhodes said you can't talk like that, brother."
Yeah.
I was like,
They were just behind the times, but I mean,
they were,
that's
and it's really not their fault because it was what they were told they could and
Sure.
couldn't do. So they
And
were like,
and
oh, well, we got to keep it family oriented because if we start doing those things, kids aren't going to buy. Well, first off, WWF at the time was
yeah,
smart
WWE.
because they realized that, okay, the kids that loved Hulk Hogan and stuff are grown men now. So we got
Mhm.
to keep those guys involved so they bring their kids into it again.
Mhm.
So when we get ready to go back to like PG kind of era stuff with Cena, then we kind of got something for the kids to latch on to. So
That's true.
because like
That's
WWE,
true. Yeah.
WWE has always been amazing to me because like being in the business, I've known a lot of those guys, and they a lot of those guys have told me said, man, their mindset is always 2 and 3 years ahead. They're thinking that far ahead all the time because they don't want to be. Uh, in case something goes down, they got to have a plan. So that plan can be initiated anytime in that 3 years that they have. You know, they already have a 3 year plan to go into that era. But if something happens where they have to do it before then, they already have a storyline in place to do it.
Yeah.
So
Makes
so
sense.
yeah, so it's almost like so I think it's more interesting to me that maybe like a sitcom that's been on for like 12 years or something could be kind of similar to that. But other than that, there's nothing similar to writing wrestling because it changes all the time. Just like if we're involved in this like triple threat match and then Chris gets hurt, well, okay, now you got to angle that in because he can't compete.
Right.
So then you got to angle somebody else into the mix to make it because you've already advertised a triple threat. So I mean, you have to stick with what you advertised. So
That's
or
a
you're going to come up with something bigger. So it's
that's an
kind of a
interesting thought on it. I remember when I watched the movie The Wrestler by
Oh yeah,
Darren
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oh
Aronofsky.
yeah. That's a good movie
I'm
too.
bringing another throwback to
It
Requiem,
was
right?
it was good and I hated it at the same time. So
Yeah, but what I yeah, oh, it was a tough watch. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was.
I always expect that from Darren Aronofsky. If I'm not challenged, I don't know why I'm watching his films, right? But I was thinking about the how many people called wrestling fake. Now, I watched it a little bit growing up. Wasn't a huge fan, but I because I just sort of missed it.
mhm.
Um, when my friends were watching it, I was playing, Mortal Kombat, and so
Sure.
Right.
like
Oh yeah.
so there. But I remember seeing the wrestler, and I think it's like one of the earlier scenes, and they're using the stapler,
Mhm.
and just like, oh man, just pulling staples out of himself and the blood everywhere, and it's like it's fake, but it isn't. Like it's
Right.
it's scripted, but
Yeah.
it's real
Yeah.
injury and it's real violence that
Oh
is
yeah.
occurring, and it was really impressive. Like I went back and I watched a bunch of stuff because I'm like, because I sort of developed a new appreciation for what they did, like especially the earlier iterations of it, and very impressive stunt work, very impressive fight sequences. And yeah, okay, a lot of it is like, you can see that the punches aren't landing or whatever. But the second
Right.
they're getting tossed out of the ring onto tables, blood everywhere, someone's
Hmm.
broken their nose. They put themselves through a lot.
They absolutely
Mhm.
do. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely do.
yeah. Now, just one more thing on the swearing. This is something I know. So I was thinking about this in terms of metal music, and I remember um, like the 80s barely had any swearing in
Yeah,
their
not a lot.
and I remember thinking like, when did that start? Like when did it, and it must have been because I know Slayer always had like, they'd say fuck like here or there on their earlier
Mm.
records. But then all of a sudden the 90s came along and people were just screaming it. Like the swearing like just ramped up.
Yeah.
Uh well, I mean, obviously Cannibal Corpse, right back to them. Every word under the sun they would do. But when like the 90s were an interesting time because everything ramped up. The 80s were so constricted in so many ways, and it was very much like the music that was prevalent was all synthesizer heavy. Everything was a lot of the time they didn't even use real drums. It was drum tracking. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
and I'm thinking like the 90s were such a fuck you to the 80s in a way, even though there's a lot of great music that came out in the 80s, and the
Yep.
metal genre basically was born in the 80s
Hmm.
in a lot of ways. Um, Thinking back on the 90s were just such a an intense decade for
Yeah.
music, such an intense decade for music, and that's where all of my inspiration comes from,
Yeah.
basically.
And it was so strange how, like you said, there wasn't a lot of swearing in the 80s,
Yeah, yeah.
but the music was so overtly sexual.
Yes, yes,
It
that
was
was
But
it, that was such a it was so weird. It's like, all right, I mean, we have all of these references and all of this imagery, scantily clad women, whatever. I mean, Motley Crue, I mean, was like
oh,
made their
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
they made their mark off of it. But I mean, it was so overtly,
Warrant, Cherry Pie.
yeah, it
Oh,
was
yeah, yeah.
so overtly sexual. And then, but there was
So
almost
true.
there was really no profanity. And then yeah, it did a complete, well, not complete, and but it did
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
did one hell of a 180 to where it's all right. Well, I mean, okay, we're not talking about women as much anymore, but like you say, fuck this, fuck that, and
yeah,
literally,
I
literally, fuck this and fuck that, and everything. Pantera,
yeah.
There's a
good.
lot of aggression. There's a lot of people who were pissed off in the 90s, and I
Yeah.
think because the 80s seemed like a party time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
Oh
so
yeah.
tons of cocaine, the music was fun, all this stuff, right? And then you get to the 90s, and there's this aggression, and it's almost as though, even though I said earlier, like I found it quite liberal in the 90s, at the same time, it feels like there was a lot of repression. I remember Marilyn Manson came to Ottawa in 1997, I think, promoting Antichrist Superstar. And Ottawa, which is like, we don't, like, that's where I'm from, and we don't
Mm-hmm.
stir the pot with anything. People are, everybody, we let them do their own thing as long as
Yeah.
they're not hurting people.
Yeah.
You know, we're very, very open-minded and liberal in a lot of ways. So when Manson came, there were picket signs. Like, there are people from the church,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like,
It sounds
protesting.
familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And I was like, in Ottawa? Even then, I would have been like 13 or 14. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
it's a concert. It's the album title, while yes, provocative, is sort of wink wink nudge nudge humorous too. So I never understood that. So it seemed like the 90s, even though for all intents and purposes, like we got amazing movies, amazing music in that time. Like just like I think the 90s, I people have said this a few times, and I think I agree that it was the best decade for, especially for art.
Mhm.
I in so many ways it's just everything, and I know that's convenient for me to say since I grew up with it, but I honestly, like, thinking about other decades and listening to the music and watching the movies, it's like it just seemed like that was the time. That was the time. But there is what your comment about, like, the sexual nature of the 80s versus the, I don't know what I'd call it in the 90s, the more like violent and
Mm-hmm.
aggressive
Yeah.
um, visuals and lyrics and even
Yeah.
style of the
Yeah.
90s. It just seemed to come out of nowhere, and I'm curious
Yeah.
what happened that would cause that.
I don't really think that I don't really think you can pinpoint it other than the fact that, you know, grunge came along, and
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say it was a direct correlation, but I'm sure there was probably a little bit. I'm sure there was probably, some of that in there, because I mean, Pantera was around in the '80s. Cowboys from
Mhm.
Hell came out, and it was a completely different Pantera, and it was the Pantera
100%. Yeah.
that actually made their career. This, the Pantera 2.0, like we like to call it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
because if they would have just stayed with, Diamond Daryl instead of
Hair metal.
Dimebag, yeah,
Yeah.
if they just would have stayed with Terry, no disrespect to Terry Glaze, because Axe Dragger just came out and Terry Glaze is singing for that
Yes.
band.
Oh, nice.
So,
Nice. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
So Terry Glaze is still around, but I mean, if it would have been
I didn't realize that.
if Pantera would have stayed with Terry Glaze and actually let me back up a little bit because Philip Anselmo was in the band one album before Cowboys from Hell came out, so that's
Right.
kind of unfair. That's kind of
Yes.
unfair to Terry Glaze. I need to be clear about that. So. So Phil was actually around for the very, very end of hair metal Pantera, but if they would have stuck with
I
that,
remember him with the big hair. I
oh
remember
yeah,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Pantera becomes who they were if they wouldn't have changed directions because
Oh, without a
with,
doubt. Without a
with
doubt. You're right. You're right.
because
Yeah.
with everything that happened, metal went through a huge evolution in the 90s. People
Yeah.
want to say that metal almost died in the 90s, and I don't think that's true. It took I wouldn't even say that it was born. I think it took a reset. I think that's what it did. It took a reset.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. The style of it, I guess.
Yeah, it took a
Yeah.
it took a reset and an evolution. That's what I think
I
it did.
see.
It didn't. It wasn't reborn. Like I say, that's just my opinion. I'm not trying
No,
to.
I get
I'm
it.
not.
I get
Yeah,
it.
I'm not trying to downplay your perspective on it, Matt. But
No, for
I
sure.
think because that's the thing is it never went away. I mean, Testament was still around. X's are still around. Pantera, Pantera, became what they became. They became that they were the fucking flag bearers for from 90 to 96. They were leading the charge. Pantera was, and then
Oh, no shit. Yeah.
hey, say what you want about the Black Album, but the Black Album came out in 91.
It's a great album.
33 million copies. It can't be a coincidence.
It's a great album.
Now,
Like, period.
yeah. Now,
Yeah.
jump ahead to 1996 and we can talk. So whatever. But
Load.
yeah, so we can. I'm a lifelong Metallica fan, but I'm willing. I'm willing to talk about the way the direction Metallica took it. I'm willing to talk about it because it's a thing. But so yeah, the '90s metal didn't disappear. It just kind of went back a little bit. It kind of like, all right, let's take a step back. Let's kind of look at things. Let's refocus, and then we'll come back. And that's exactly what happened. In my opinion, that's exactly what happened. It didn't go away. It just took a second to regroup.
So, if you think about Pantera too, you got to look at Pantera went from glam metal to being pretty much the godfathers of groove metal.
Pretty
Because
close,
I mean, nobody really knew what groove metal was until
they
Pantera
were definitely
that swing that they had, man. Like I remember,
it was just that guitar. The guitar that Dom, changed over to that tone. It was just like wow.
And I want to give props to X Hoarder too for that for groove metal too. So want to give major props to X Hoarder for that. So
groove is one of my favorite subgenres of metal because
mine too.
I've always I consider early Machine Head very groovy.
Oh yeah,
it gets me moving. I know some people can't stand Machine Head, and
I love Machine Head.
They're they're top 10 for me.
I absolutely love Machine Head.
I adore them. And I even the stuff that people absolutely hated. I like the Catharsis album.
Catharsis was an unfairly shit on record. Is it?
A couple of tracks that I'm like, eh.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean,
right.
yes, I mean, people are
loved it.
People are like, oh, it's not the. People are like, it's not the Blackening. Well, the Blackening was a fucking masterpiece. You're not going to get another Blackening.
That's it. So, I mean, why would you want two of them?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's on its own.
I mean, the Blackening is
it's so good. It's one of the best front to back metal albums I've ever heard. Starting out with like an 11 or 10 or 11-minute track, clenching the fists of dissent, and you're it's just. Oh my god!
That's the thing is it's only 8 tracks, but it's like 70 minutes long.
Oh, insane!
I'll never forget. I can't remember what band that was. I seen the interview with, but they asked them something similar to that. They were just like, okay, they were like, fans were saying this, this was your best record, and you got this new one coming out. So how are you going to top that record? He says, well, first off, we never went in the studio trying to top anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah.
It's like we didn't have a mindset going, hey, we got to make this one better than the last one. Do we want to do that? Well, yes, but it's up to the ears that it's not, yeah, but it's up to
But if
who's
that's
listening.
yeah,
And 90% of the time you're going to have that. Just like I said, for some reason, fans say that one album is so good, and like nobody can top that album. I'm just like, yeah, but if you
it,
think about, so I mean, going back to Pantera, I mean, you got Pantera with three in a row that were just fucking phenomenal, dude.
oh
Like,
god, yeah.
Cowboys from Hell to Vulgar
Far Beyond
Far
Driven,
Far
man.
Beyond.
Beyond
Oh
Driven.
my
I
lord.
Yeah.
mean, those three in a row like that, I'm just like, I don't think that was ever heard of at that point. It's just like,
No.
damn, man, how the hell you put out three albums like that?
I know, man. It
It's
just
like,
I've always been the guy who loves the the album that not everybody seems to gravitate towards with
right.
bands. Great Southern Trendkill for me is a fucking
Oh, that
masterpiece.
was a
I
good. That was a great album too.
it's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
fucking
outstanding. It's outstanding.
it's so heavy. Like it's so heavy, but then they get stuff like Floods on it where I'm like,
mhm.
I didn't expect that album. Again, another front to back where I can just blast it
Dude,
and not skip a single track.
Nope.
dude,
But that's just it. Like the oh my god, I was just trying to remember another, like that groove metal style, which was so. I guess that was born basically in the late '80s, early '90s, right? That
Mhm.
groove metal
Yeah.
sound that was Pantera largely,
Mhm.
yeah.
or at least popularized it.
Yeah,
Right.
and yeah.
And then, of course,
But I
Lamb of
mean,
God's carrying it on. So,
oh, Lamb of God.
Oh yeah, doing a
But
great job too.
yeah.
Yeah,
and dude, for my
But
money, you mentioned Matt, you mentioned the song Floods.
yeah,
For my money, the solo in Floods
yes.
oh god,
is
yes.
so
I
fucking
think that
underrated.
might be my
It,
favorite of anything Dimebag did.
it
Um,
might
Well,
be
holy
because I
well,
mean
shit!
so,
because it's so, of course it's slowed down, but it is so fucking intricate. It's ridiculous.
And that outro,
Oh
like,
God Almighty,
it
man!
just
It's
gives me
just
goosebumps.
when
it.
you
it
when you got when you got an instrumental like that that Zach Wild complains about playing, I mean,
yeah,
I mean, you must have something there to be
That is
like.
a very, very good statement. Very true. Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Zach's like, dude, I can't do
Yeah,
that.
that track doesn't get enough. It doesn't
Love.
get enough. It doesn't get enough praise, and I understand. And
Yeah,
I understand why it doesn't get enough praise because as a collective, metalheads are like, man, if it's slow, it's so how
Well,
some
have you
yeah,
listened?
yeah. Of
Well,
course,
okay,
I've heard all that shit.
so
Yeah.
have either one of you listened to the new Labagond yet?
I actually listened to it yesterday. I'm not all the way through it,
Okay,
but I
well,
but
I haven't heard the whole thing.
I was listening to it yesterday, and I was like,
yeah, there's a
It's
surprise on
aggressive.
there.
yeah.
It's
Well,
aggressive.
there's a surprise on there. I was just like, wait a minute, what the fuck is? I'm like,
Oh, okay.
No,
I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. I'll
I,
check it.
I
there's
I'm gonna pick it up.
I actually think I got to that point because I was
yeah,
listening to it. I was
the
trying to listen to it.
the point where there was some cleans going on. I'm just like,
I
wait a
was
minute,
I
what?
was I was
Nice.
trying to listen to it at work, and it was just I was having a hard time listening to it at work because I just couldn't. People wouldn't leave me the fuck alone.
Right.
So I was listening to it in the truck on the way home, and I was like,
I get it.
so I'm driving along, and that
It's
started
good.
playing, and I was like, it raised my eyebrows. I was like, oh shit. I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
I'm
And it
looking
was
forward to
and it was
listening
good
to it. Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
wasn't like it wasn't like he came out with like a slower tempo song,
Nope.
and we were just like,
Mm-mm.
man, what the fuck?
Nope.
Man, that's not Lamb of God. And all you heard it, and you're just like, man,
Yes.
that's fucking. It's for Lamb of God, it's different, but it's
But it's on brand.
but it's still good
On
because
brand.
of the way they did it. It
They're a
wasn't
very
like
consistent band.
They are.
They are,
a very
yeah.
consistent band. They
and
are.
it's
In
and
the
they're
best
another
way.
one. Yeah, and they're another one of those bands that have that sound, that guitar sound, where Randy doesn't have to say nothing. If I hear that guitar lick, I'm like, oh, that's fucking Lamb of God.
Mhm.
Oh
You
yeah,
can hear,
100%. Yeah.
Same with Gojira. Gojira has a
Yes, they have a very
distinct guitar sound.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah. If you hear
And
any of that, and like, that's just like when Ozzy, man. It's like Ozzy. If you heard Ozzy first time he opened his mouth to say one syllable, it's like, oh, that's Ozzy.
Yeah.
It's
there
like,
are. I mean,
he
there are.
didn't say a word.
Yeah.
It's like
There.
it's always crazy how some of these bands just have those distinctive things going for them, and
They
it's
they just
and
become.
it's like and it's just crazy to me how they keep it part of everything they do. It's like how many times can you use this sound and make it different? I guess it's like the challenge. I guess they're doing to themselves. Like,
Well, that's a great point because I listen to well, I mean, I've got a lot of bands I listen to on the regular, and Trivium being one of them.
With
And
Trivium.
there
I do.
um Matt Heafy is just an absolute monster.
He is.
But there's a couple of albums where they sort of lost me because
right.
everything there was no or I shouldn't say no innovation. There was just it didn't feel like there was enough of a difference between that album and the previous one. I remember when Shogun came out, which is just another front to
It's
back.
it's it's
Right.
I will blast that all day long. That
it's
is
it's it's fantastic.
incredible album. And then there's some of the more recent albums where I would listen to them. I'm like, technically amazing. The writing is always going to be good. They're just such a great band, but nothing captured me. Nothing
Mhm.
pulled me in really from a couple of them. And I think that speaks to like what you just said about how do you take the same sound and make it interesting again, or make it
Mhm.
new. Like
Hmm.
Lamb of God, I can go through their albums and go, you know, was the one Sacrament, which is just, you know, if you hear Redneck and you don't fucking want to move and
Oh,
Right.
yes.
you might be dead inside.
You,
So
yeah, you.
but that Sacrament is such a an amazing album, but Wrath right after it,
Yes.
just like this is oh man, like they took whatever they had with Sacrament and sort of flipped it on its head a bit because it became more melodic and more
Mhm.
um it wasn't clean necessarily, but there's something so bright. This is the only way I can really describe it. There's like a brightness to Wrath.
No, I
There's a
get it.
darkness to Sacrament.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
okay.
both absolute
Yeah,
outstanding, but so
yeah,
different. Each album so different.
yeah. Whenever you talk about redneck, whenever I hear that, I'm like a goddamn prairie dog. I'm like, what's that? I
Yes.
was like, I know that right away.
Oh, dude, I saw them live. It was like the greatest show I've ever been to. I'm pretty sure, like the greatest big show I've ever been to. Cannibal Corpse, Amon Amarth, Lamb of God, and Slayer. And
Jesus.
Wow.
it was the 2019 tour, and I
Nice.
I
go
mean,
and
just take all my money. Just take
oh
all
yeah,
my
right. And
money.
so I'm in the crowd, and I actually had seats, but they snuck us in. One of the ushers snuck us in, and it was thank God that they did that because seeing this next moment was just perfect. So I'm standing in the crowd. I'm not moshing or anything like that. My moshing days are maybe not behind me, but I don't do it as often. But I'm
Right.
standing there, and it's a huge crowd, absolutely fucking monster of a crowd. And all of a sudden, Redneck starts, and all I see, because I'm
Yeah.
at face level here, all I see is like the circle pit getting
Yeah.
bigger and bigger and bringing more and more people in.
Yeah.
How about
You
how about I
couldn't.
got how about I got sucked into that motherfucker at the Megadeth show? I'm just like, uh, I was
Oh
like,
shit, man!
I couldn't
It
get out
was
of there fast enough, dude.
incredible,
I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
incredible. Oh
Yeah.
man, oh yeah, I'll never forget
Yeah,
that. That
you
was
don't. Yeah, when you go to Lamb of God show, they don't have to inter. Of course, there's a lot of songs you don't have to introduce of theirs, but that's one that needs no introduction.
Right.
It
oh
absolutely needs
man,
no introduction.
oh yeah, that was quite an experience. Seeing Slayer live too was
Oh yeah.
That
amazing. Uh,
that Slayer was actually the biggest mosh pit I've ever seen. I remember seeing them on Ozfest in
oh
Nashville
yeah,
in 2004, and it
yeah,
was at Star. It was at the Starwood Amphitheater, which is closed now, unfortunately. Jason can attest to how awesome a venue that used to be.
Mhm.
But as with most amphitheaters, there was a covered seated section. There was a
yep,
walkway that separated the grass section that went up on the hill, and we actually had seats for that show. And I remember when Slayer was on Turning Around, and up on the hill in this grass area was the biggest mosh pit at the time I had ever seen in my life. And you could almost, it was going so fast. It was a hurricane that had an eye. This mosh pit had a fucking eye,
Yep.
and you could almost feel the fucking wind coming off it because
Oh yeah.
it was whipping around so fast. I was like that. Like
Do
I
you
said,
remember the song?
I'm wanting to say it was Angel of Death, but I could be wrong.
I was gonna say it's got to be something like that because
Yeah,
those are the ones where people
yeah,
just go wild, right? Same
yeah.
with
Because
Redneck.
it
This
was actually maybe it wasn't Angel of Death because it wasn't towards the end of their set. Fuck, I can't remember. But I remember turning around and I was like, holy shit. Like I said, this is 22 years ago. I may have seen bigger mosh pits since then, but as far as how tightly wrapped, how fast it was going, and I was like, literally, it looked like a top down view of a fucking hurricane. There was a center, and I was like, I've never seen anything like this before in my life.
Yeah,
It's
that's crazy.
bonkers.
Yeah, that it's those moments are fantastic at shows where you're not expecting it. I probably should have expected it, but
Yeah.
man, the just the sheer volume of human bodies turning this wheel, it was
Oh yeah,
incredible.
it is.
I think the, I
Absolutely
think
incredible.
I think the biggest one I seen was at the Blue Ridge that year when Anthrax they played Indians and like they have like they have like a part that was gated off for like I guess like for certain passes or whatever. So like there was probably God I don't know several hundred people there in that section, and like that whole section was fucking turning. I'm just like I got a video of it on Facebook. Man,
Oh,
I was like,
nice.
man, this is fucking crazy.
What
I had
year?
to like I had to like get up and like do it, way up here so I could get it all in. But I think it was like 22, maybe.
22, yeah. So
Yeah, it
during the
was like
pandemic there.
it was right after the
The end of
pandemic.
it?
Yeah, so
Just at the end of it, yeah.
yeah, so I think that's
Wow.
probably a lot of it because people were kind of locked up, and not being able to do nothing for like a year and a half. So they were just
Oh,
like, oh, we're gonna let this shit go up in here,
And our
yeah,
crowds got more and more intense after, like, during and after the pandemic, because
Yeah,
we were able to do shows starting in wait, hold on, 2001 we were able to start doing shows again, because the way they did it, they separated everybody. They had tables, so you couldn't mosh
right.
necessarily. You couldn't have a crowd right up at the stage, so they said. What ended up happening,
yeah.
of
Blow
course,
up the
is
scene.
you get the evening going. By the end of it, everybody's moved up, everybody's screaming and having a great time, um, and no one got sick. Everybody was fine. So it was great. But I remember that was when all of a sudden I started to feel that what you're talking about, which is that, like, you want to let it all out, like that. The crowds got real good right around that time where their energy was up. People just wanted to let loose. They were staying in their houses all the time. Couldn't see their friends. Go out to a show and just, oh man, it was great. It was a great time.
Again, it was cathartic.
Mhm.
That's
100%,
what it was. It was
100%.
cathartic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that note, gentlemen, I must be heading off shortly here, but I wanted to mention.
I was actually gonna bring it back a little bit here because
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's scoot up.
we usually kind of leave around hour and a half, 2 hours anyway. So we were
Perfect,
going to try
perfect.
to loop it back around and kind of get some updates on what the future kind of if you can like say anything yet about releases
Right.
or
Sure.
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will be dropping the album very soon. Our goal is by the end of April. We're probably going to drop it randomly on a Friday.
Oh,
And
cool, random, nice.
yeah, I had this idea of doing that because, like, again, being more of a local band anyway, it's not like we're gonna have this huge release or anything like that. But
Mhm.
I like the idea of just all of a sudden throwing the music out there. I'm trying to get a little something done for one of the songs, to have a third single.
Okay,
And that may be happening, may not be, but that's the goal, is to maybe do a lyric video or something similar, or like one of the what are they called, the ones that are looped, Like Poppy did a bunch of them for her album, or her last album, where it's like it's I forget what you call them, but it's a certain type of video where you have a certain number of shots and then you play them again. I just can't remember
Oh,
what it's called. Visualizer. It's a
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
visualizer.
yeah,
Visualizer.
that's
Yeah,
it. Yep.
We may do something like that for one of the songs, but not 100% sure. But we've been sitting on this album now for a while, and it is, if you know, if I can toot my own horn here, it is a very
You
good album.
absolutely can. That's why we
It
bring
is
you on.
a
So let me ask you this. I know Fallen Pillars was like 23. So was like the writing for this album done around the same time? Or and you just been holding on to
So
some of the stuff?
album one started. We started writing that in 2018.
All
So
right.
album one took to get those 11 songs for album one, and we cut some of them. Like we had more than 11, but um, that we never bothered to record. We're just like, this isn't suiting our style, because when we started, we didn't really know what our style was, right?
Right.
Sure. Yeah,
So in 2018, we started writing, like, or late 2017 into early 18, we started writing our own material. We were a cover band before that. You can still see our stuff on YouTube, actually. Did a bunch of like Sublime and AFI
oh,
and
wow. Okay. All
yeah,
right.
yeah. So we were called the Cover Boys for like a very
Oh
brief
wow.
period of time. And then we started writing our own material. And from 2018 to 2020, the just the beginning of 2020, we fleshed out the entire album, and then we recorded it in 2020, and
Okay.
we released it in 2023. But the
I
whole
got you.
time from 2020 to when did we record album two? A little while ago, but so for like those 4 years or whatever it was at that point, we were writing album two at the
Okay.
same
Okay.
time,
Okay.
and it immediately turned darker and heavier. So yeah, maybe closer to 2021 is when we really focused on it. But we had, by the end of that writing cycle, like some of the heaviest stuff we've written, without a doubt. We have a song on it which might be my favorite on the album. No clean vocals on this one. It's called "Sutures and Open Wounds," and that one
Mm.
is brutal. It's an
Look forward to
assault.
it.
That one I'm really looking forward to releasing that. I may do a lyric video for that one because uh it's one of my favorites. I'm one of the ones I'm most proud of lyrically. So uh but
Nice.
yeah, so yeah, we wrote it during the pandemic. It's a lot of anger from that. So
What I want to
uh,
ask too, like I noticed like the between the cleans and the gutturals and stuff, and the couple of singles that you guys have just put out, I
sure.
noticed that being a little bit, um, I don't know how to say it, like maybe more crisp, I guess maybe,
Yeah.
or
So the not only are like we've improved as a band since we recorded album one, but we also, the equipment that was used by
Sure.
our producer
Sure.
has gotten better. So
I got
Joe's whole studio is even better than it was
you. There you
before.
go.
So like,
Nice.
and I remember when we started, he's like, it's gonna sound even better than album one. Where like he's an amazing producer. He spends so much time with the music. Like, and after the whole thing was recorded and edited and put together properly, he and I sat down for what would probably amount to days, if you add it all up, and just like tweaked little things, added little sounds. Then we had another person named Mitch, uh, awesome guy. He did orchestration for the album, and so I didn't want like overly symphonic stuff. I don't really dig that when I hear it in metal, unless it's a very specific style that they're going for.
Right.
So what Mitch did was he took um, every song and added elements behind everything. Sometimes there'd be layers and layers and layers, like 20 tracks on a song, but really it's just sort of like this little piece here, a little bit there, something to enhance the sound, make it big, or give it a little bit. of strings in the chorus. So in Vile Refrain, in the background there are strings.
Yeah.
Mm.
So he added that kind of stuff to it, to really vamp it up and bring the production up. So I'm really excited to drop this album, and it's we've been meaning to for a while. We had our album release show scheduled for what was it? I think November or December of last year. We had it. We were ready to go, but the promoter was not doing well, sick, and
Mm.
had to cancel the show. Whole thing happened. We couldn't do it, and then it just got put on the back burner until we were like, we gotta release this. It's just
Mm.
been um, it's just been sitting there waiting for people to hear it. So
Mm.
so
Are there
now
are there are there any planned shows already, or
no, so we took a bit of a hiatus at the beginning of the year, this year. So we just to sort of revamp and uh, figure our stuff out for the coming year, because we don't really know how we want
okay?
to get this going. So my hope is we're going to drop the album, hopefully gain some traction from it, and then do a few tours, mini tours in the summer, leading into the fall. So that's our goal, and we've already spoken to a bunch of promoters. They're down to do it. It's just a matter of like lining it up with, again, we got members who have kids, and
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
so we have to be smart about it. But we do plan on doing a bunch of shows to promote it. It's just a matter of sort of setting them up at this point. We're planning on branching out, doing some stuff in Montreal, doing some maybe going to Toronto, since that's within like a 4 hour sort of radius. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
um, but yeah, so we're planning on it. It's this year's been a struggle to get it going. Everybody's insanely busy, but I have a feeling once we release the album, once we start getting the merch all set up, that we're good to go.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah,
Gentlemen, I have to. I got to run, Matt. I know you said
yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
wrap up too. But Matt, it was great to see you again, and
Always a pleasure, guys.
really
Always a pleasure.
looking forward to the album dropping. But
Yes, I will send it to you guys the second it's live.
cool.
Oh,
We,
awesome.
we
Appreciate it.
greatly appreciate it. Jason, I got to bounce. I'm going to let you wrap this bad boy up.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks.
Good seeing you.
You too.
All right. Yeah, I know you said you had to go too, but I was
Oh,
trying to
yeah,
like
yeah.
I was
No,
trying to
no,
like I was trying to like end it where everybody could go at the once, but he had to bounce at a certain time, I guess. But
all
so
good. All
yeah,
good.
but yeah, anything that you guys are come up with shows and or even the news. If you do another single or whatever, we'd be glad to put that on. I don't know if you knew it, but we do have a streaming radio station and stuff now too. That may be
Oh,
news
nice. Yeah, yeah. That's
since you
awesome.
guys were here before, so we're always like putting stuff on there and
Oh,
hopefully
that's
that
that's amazing.
yeah,
That's
hopefully
amazing.
that
Yeah, I'll
helps
send
get.
you all the tracks then. I'll send you all the tracks and whatever you guys wanna play. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
man.
works for me. Yeah, so that's another thing I've been trying to play with getting a date or a day of the week kind of set up to where I could come on and do a couple hours of new stuff on there.
Nice.
Because right now it's just kind of an audio, automatic DJ, and he just kind of, we just kind of got it on shuffle where he just kind of goes
Right.
through and just put stuff on there because we can't man it all the time. So it's and I don't want to come out and just do a radio station when I'm available to do it because then you're only getting 2 hours of music a week or something. So I'd rather just
Right.
leave it playing and then people can just log on and listen to whatever. So
That
but
makes sense. Yeah, I get
yeah,
you. I
but
get you.
I mean it's got like I said, it's got old stuff, it's got newer stuff. I usually put the new playlist on there, so which I didn't do last week, but I got to do that. But yeah, so I know some of your stuff is on there unless it. So one thing that did happen is there was a fire at the main hub of the place that we buy we kind of pay the fees for.
Yeah.
So they they had a fire at the hub, so we had to like redo the whole thing. So
Oh,
they
wow.
had to give us a new uh, I can't remember what they call it, a new port, I guess is what they
Right.
called it. So they had to give us a new port. So then we had to upload everything all over again. I'm just like, oh, this is horrible.
Oh
so
yeah, I can
so
imagine.
and I don't think we've, I don't think we got near. I think we did kind of get close. And I said, man, that's close enough. I'm just going to go from here forward and just do, everything that we do from here forward. So
Nice.
so it's mostly just a playlist that we do. Like when we do thing of the week playlists, I put those on, and then of course I do the new release playlist on. I start collaborating it on Friday, and I usually post it on Monday just to make sure, because like here lately it's been like a um, some people will be dropping stuff on Saturday, and I'll miss it. So I'm just like, oh, well, I was like, I didn't even know that came out. So now I got to wait. And, I don't want to wait and put it on a next week's thing because it just came out. I'd rather just give them, you know, give them the uh, give them the exposure as soon as possible. So
I'll send it to you before, like, when I figure out the exact date that I want to drop it. I'll send it to you a few days in advance.
yeah, that's
And
fine. And like I said, and we've gotten to where we have. I think we figured it out. Now we have like six record labels that send us stuff.
nice,
So
nice.
so that's getting bigger every like there's 72 emails we ain't even looked at yet, and me and him both try to like stay on top of it because of the new music coming out. But
Right.
it's like it's getting to where okay, we're going to hire a third person for this shit or something because it's getting crazy. But yeah, but they'll let
That's
us
awesome, though.
they know that we have that, and they'll let us say, hey, you can only put this and this on the radio. Like, all right, cool, So yeah,
Oh
if
yeah,
there's
once we drop the album, you can play whatever. Like you can
right,
take it,
right, that's what they say.
you know
Yeah,
what I
once we
mean?
drop it, then whatever. But
Yeah,
in the meantime, they'll say,
absolutely.
oh, you can only we only have permission to play this one and this one or whatever. So,
It,
which is fine. I mean, it's
language, the explicit lyrics,
mhm.
all are okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Within reason,
Everything,
obviously. Okay.
yeah, everything we got's pretty much, the show here's labeled explicit just because we never
Good, good,
know.
good, good. Yeah,
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 we never know what's going to be said. So
yeah.
we've had some guests get fired up on here before, so over over some promoting and stuff like that. So it's definitely
Just wanted to
understandable
make
that.
sure before I send them your way, but yeah, no, no, that's
Oh
perfect.
yeah, yeah, no problem
Perfect.
at all, man.
Uh,
So yeah, well, Matt, man, I appreciate you reaching out, and I mean it's good talking to you again, man. Hopefully,
always,
you
always.
guys have major success with this record, and
Thank you. Well, I hope you really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to sending it to you guys,
mm,
and thank you so much for having me on. This is always a pleasure.
absolutely, man. Yeah, man. Anytime, dude. Like first any other thing you want to come on and promote, just let me know, dude. We'll make a spot.
We'll we'll do. We'll do.
Yeah.
Sounds great,
Yeah.
man.
All right,
Thanks
Matt, man.
again. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir, man. You have a good one.
All right, you too. Take care.
That was Matt Caldwell from As We Suffer. And if you haven't heard their first record, it is available on all streaming platforms right now. It's called The Fallen Pillars, and their new record, which is about to come out. I think they had the name of it already on. Let's see. Let me double check that, but I think he said the name of it already. So yes, Gods and wait a minute, in Gods and Soretics, I guess. I can't make it out. I got vision issues with up close and far away, so I can't. If I put glasses on, I can't see it. If I take glasses off, I can't see it. So it's kind of a lose lose at that distance. So, but yeah. So that new album, he said, hopefully be dropping sometime in April. So we'll be able to pass that along to you guys whenever that drops. See, I meant to do our promotion stuff here because wrap up the show. So yeah, so as we were talking about that, we do have a 24/7 streaming radio station over at thefrontrow.net/radio, and radio is with a capital R. So just check that out there. Follow us on our socials: Facebook, X, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, Rumble, and YouTube. Also, check out our past band interviews and our playlist over on Spotify. Just type in Metalheads Unite in the search engine, and all that should pop up there. Then you also can do old school. Email us at metalheadsuniteusa@gmail.com. I forgot the USA, sorry, but it is metalheadsuniteusa@gmail.com. And so yeah, so check all that out. And then, like I said, we do have another guest next week, so I'll be promoting that on Monday. So follow us on our socials if you want to keep up with who that is. We try to keep that a surprise until we actually start promoting. And actually, we have a guest supposedly in the next 2 weeks. We'll see how the that goes after next week. But I know the next week is confirmed, so we'll be having another guest here next week. So hopefully you guys will be back for that. In the meantime, check out all of our socials and our playlist and our radio station and all the other stuff, Metalhead Unite. And then hopefully we'll see you back here next week for that interview. Hopefully you enjoyed talking with Matt. He's a very cool guy, man. So, talking about movies and music and everything. So he's kind of got a hand in everything there. So anyway, hopefully we'll see you guys back here next week. Till then,